Okay, Sistas fans, we had quite the episode this week. Season 7, Episode 2, Drunk in Love. And the majority rules, a lot of people say, hey, I was iffy on Episode 1, but Episode 2, it brought me back in. It was great. Was it better than the first episode? Yes, but there were also factors that have me going, I wanted to give the episode a 9, but just little things had me going, I don't think I like this particular writing choice. And why is this character acting this particular way? Mainly the Zatima stuff. So last week was an 8.5. This week, I'm barely giving it a little bit more, an 8.75. Let me know if you agree with that score in the comments and what would you score the episode. So we're going to go into the episode review. Like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. You know the drill by now. So we pick up where we left off. Probably one of my favorite moments of the episode. Penelope is freaking out, catching Gary doing what he's doing. Looks like my fiance is jacking off while sniffing his ex-girlfriend's dirty panties. And this man had the audacity to just break the tension to go, hey, calm down. First of all, they're clean. Gary, I don't think that's the most important thing to point out at this point in time. So in the midst of their back and forth, you got Andy and Jordan like, hey, is everything okay in there? Oh, no, yeah, she's getting something out of my eye. And then Penelope scoffs and leaves. And then Gary's like, oh, crap, I got to clean this up. So when he comes out, he tells, Jordan and Andy, hey, we're heading out. Penelope's not feeling well. And, he shakes hands with Jordan and then takes that nasty hand of his, which he did, with, and just patted it all over Jordan's shirt. And I'm like, Penelope, like, you're not going to, do you know that's the hand that he would, you know what? No, I'm just going to let it go. But it reminded me of season 1 when Jasmine was like, you know what? You were over there with that, garden tool again, huh? Well, Morris and I would have sex in our bed. And then sometimes when you would come home, you would be laying in his dried fluids. Gary's like, I don't care, Jasmine. Well, that don't mean you should wipe your fluids on another man's shirt. That's all I'm saying. So they end up leaving. And this is probably a sad scene for a lot of people. I know for me, I was really sad because Gary is a piece of trash. And this scene on the elevator just really confirmed that the way he's treating Penelope now, this probably is exactly what happened to Jasmine. You had a good woman that he most likely just ruined with his own toxic behavior and that corrupted her. And well, if you look at how Penelope was breaking down on the elevator, because it didn't matter what Gary had done over the past 3 months, anytime she caught him doing something suspect, he would try to gaslight her, making it seem like it's all her fault. And you could just tell by the look in her eyes, especially after, Gary grabbed her by the arm, that she got all teary-eyed, and you could tell these past 3 months have not been easy. She even says, I regret taking you back. So from there, we have Gary who goes over to Hayden's place and leaves Penelope home alone. And he's over there basically just talking about the fact that, look, you owe me for, exposing Tamara for you, so let me stay here for the night. Now, we don't really know exactly what went down with that. The only thing we know is that I don't believe Hayden has a wedding ring on. And he did mention that when she left, she took most of my good stuff in reference to his alcohol collection. Now, we talk about the fact that Gary wants to ruin Jordan's campaign, and Hayden isn't really down. Like, look, I don't really know this guy, and, well, hey, it never stopped you before. Well, I only get involved if a person messed with my woman or took my money. And, man, Gary's just in to screw over this guy. Just like with Robin. It's like, oh, yeah, Robin messing with my woman, I'm going to get him booted out of the company. Jordan seeing my woman, even though Andy isn't, I'm going to ruin his campaign. So we go over to the next morning. Oh, yeah, we do have a moment, which was the sneak peek from the episode where Sabrina's over at Danny's trying to convince her about therapy. Danny's in her feelings about it. She's deflecting constantly and doesn't want to have the conversation. That's pretty much it. But I will admit, it was cool to see Sabrina not backing down and being adamant for a change as opposed to just buckling down and, whimpering the moment somebody looks at her the wrong way, because she knows her friend something is wrong, even though she doesn't want to admit it. It's been 3 months. Yeah, you got to admit something's wrong here, Danny. So yeah, we get a great exterior shot of Zach and Fatima's house, and they're having breakfast, and it's nice because Zach is like, "Look, hey, 15 minutes, just sit down with me. Let's have breakfast and talk before the day starts." And she reminds him of the meeting about the what's it called? Arbitration, whatever. You know what I mean? The meeting to determine who gets custody of Michael. And of course, things take a turn for the worse because this is the beginning of the issues with Zatima. Now, a lot of fans agree. A good point is made on Fatima's behalf that before starting any sort of trust fund, it ought to be confirmed that the baby is Zach's, which again, I agree with. But her whole thing seems to be the issue of Zach Jr. She wanted her child, whenever she does have a baby with Zach, to be the junior. But instead of conveying that feeling, she wants to get on Zach's case about being stupid for assuming that he's the father of Zach's baby. I mean, Karen's baby. Now, all she has to do is say, hey, I know you want to talk to Karen about the Zach Jr. thing, but I was hoping that when we have a child, it will be a junior. I don't know why she can't just say that. So we go over to the law firm, and Hayden and Andy are talking. Now, at first, Andy isn't really trying to communicate with Hayden at all, but he does bring up the Gary stuff. And they talk about the situation of his changed demeanor because it's like, look, he's been scheming and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't even know what the man does. Hedge funds manager. Oh, he's still doing that because he's been doing nothing but concocting different plans and whatnot. And I guess we're to assume that the FBI going into his business at the end of the episode, maybe Gary has been doing these underhanded things for like the past 3 months. So during the time skip, that's when Hayden has noticed a shift in Gary from, the cool guy, everything is in control, to, you know what, I'm just going to start doing all this underhanded stuff. And, then he's getting busted because he's being sloppy. I don't know. I don't really know the timeline on this stuff. But in any case, it was cool to see these two just have a cordial conversation, showing that 3 months have passed, but there's still friction between them. But even Hayden can identify that, hey, the way Gary's been acting, I think we ought to keep an eye on him. But then, Andy figures out that the facade from last night, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And I think it's funny how at the end of it, it's pretty much, Gary, well, Hayden no longer wanting Gary on his couch. Like, look, can you help, straighten things out? That way he can go back home with his pregnant fiance. So Fatima shows up, and even though Andy tries to keep things cool, these two don't care for each other still. Which begs the question, over the 3-month time skip, did Hayden just give up for his plan of revenge? Or it just seems to me that Hayden was so in his feelings over the Tamara thing that it broke his heart. He just kind of lost that fire, because when you really think about it, Gary is acting like Hayden would, always trying to scheme people and, trying to ruin their lives, where Gary's the one who's like, I don't know, man, I think that's a little bit too far. Now the roles are reversed. So from there, we go over to Karen's salon and the delivery man Trey, who obviously has a thing for Karen, and Pam has a thing for him, but the feelings aren't reciprocated. Pam has been buying a lot of stuff online, social media, rugs and flowers and things like that. Basically things for the decor of the salon, including bull semen for her hair conditioning product she plans to sell. And this woman is under the impression that, oh, it's company write-offs because the company pays for it. The write-off people take care of it during tax season. The write-off people, Pam. Really? I mean, because if she was spending her own money on this stuff, that's one thing, but the company money, that's another, especially when we get a conversation between Sabrina and Karen. Oh, yeah, Sabrina was happy because a couple she was helping out got approved for a house, and she was excited for him. Look, that happened to me last year, so trust and believe, it is a good feeling. But in any case, Karen calls because she wants a personal loan for the salon because the business loan isn't enough. Now, Sabrina isn't sure if she can do anything because, again, she just got the business loan. And, she asked a question about, so what are your thoughts on, like, the family setup? Like, you're going to have a baby soon, because I think being married does help out. It does look better to lenders and stuff. And Sabrina has a moment of, like, just a pause where she's thinking about something. And we see that later in the episode. But yeah, it's interesting to me, like, what exactly is going on with Karen and money, man? This ain't adding up. And I did a separate video about whether or not Karen is a good businesswoman. And based on a lot of factors, I don't think she is. I mean, because I'm really confused with how the whole building thing worked. Now, we know that Andy cut a check for however much it was to fix up the old salon. Brian tells Karen, hey, we can fix up your old salon, but it'll take about 5 months. However, if you buy this building that I built, 4 months tops, we can have this place up and running for your new salon, because all we got to do is renovate it. Now, I don't know. He kept saying that the price would be the same. Like, look, it would cost the same for you to buy this building as it would for you to stay at your old place and continue paying rent and whatnot. So I guess we're to assume that the check Andy cut for the salon repairs would be enough to purchase the building. So that would mean, and again, I'm just trying to break this down as best I can. I don't know all the details. I guess the business loan was taken out by Karen so that money could be used to renovate the building and get salon equipment. Again, that is just my assumption. I don't know for certain. Now, I also want to bring up something to keep in mind. Brian was constantly giving Karen all kinds of discounts and lowballing figures because you could tell there was something he felt about her. And we know a new contractor took his place, so it seems that it might be a situation where, like Fat Joe, yesterday's price is not today's price. This new guy had prices that were larger than Brian's, but Karen really had no choice because Brian left her high and dry. And we don't know exactly when he left, but I feel like maybe it was a few weeks into the construction or, the renovation process. And as a result, Karen really had no other choice but to find somebody quick, fast, in a hurry. We don't know if Brian referred her to anybody or what, but she had to do what she had to do. And then with Pam spending this money thinking it's going to be write-offs that pay for themselves, it's just one of those things where Karen is in way over her head. And you kind of don't feel sorry for her because, well, she had the check from Zach that she ripped up. You had Aaron, who was more than willing to help, and she declined. So she had all these options available, and she decided not to, let these men help her out. And now look at her. So we go over to Paige. I believe Paige is the name of the white woman who came into Sabrina's office, basically reminding her not to take personal calls on the job. So we have, she does mention, I like everything you got going on here. And yeah, Sabrina was working that green dress. Later on in the episode, she makes a quick stop over to Maurice's place to check in on him because she had left the dress over there, but he wore it for one of his customers. And yeah, it's not going to be good for her to wear it for brunch. She does take some handcuffs, though, for Rich. And Maurice is on a call when Sabrina comes in, so there's that. And he does mention how he's making like 3 times as much money as Sabrina at the bank, but I don't know if that's true or not. We'll just have to wait and see. But we go over to Andy and Fatima talking about the Gary and Penelope drama, about everything that's been going on with them. But then Zach comes in, and strangely enough, last week, Zach wanted to get like a private investigator and whatnot to get evidence of Heather being a neglectful parent and, living in a hostile environment. Yet this week, there's all sorts of paperwork, and basically Zach has all these receipts on evidence to work in their favor about Heather not being the right kind of parent to look after Michael. So I have no idea what happened between episodes 1 and 2. But from there, we do see that the question a lot of fans have been wanting to know, Andy's like, so what about a wedding date? Because it will look good to the court. Zach and Fatima are flabbergasted, But based on what happens later in the episode, yeah, these two have no business even considering a wedding date, let alone getting married, because the regression is real. So over at the airport, Danny's helping out a customer. Tony stops by for some printer paper, but he, engages in something else that starts with the letter P while Danny is trying to help out this customer who doesn't know why Danny's face is all contorted like that, but dang it, she gets her ticket and she bounces. So Tony just wants to check in with Danny after what happened last night. Danny's in her feelings because Tony left, and then she was kind of forced to have the conversation with Sabrina about therapy. But, he's like, look, 15 minutes, come to my office and I'll get that stubbornness out of you. So from there, she calls Karen about the brunch they're going to have, but Karen doesn't want to do it because, look, I'm pregnant, I can't drink, so ain't no need of me going to that brunch, and I can't really engage in the fun with the rest of you. So we do see her get off the phone with Danny, but then Danny either calls or texts someone else. We don't really know who that person is. I'm guessing it could be Fatima, maybe, because post-brunch, Zach is like, wait, Karen was there? No, she wasn't. So do you think they just called you up because Karen wasn't available? Yeah. So it's almost like she's the honorary sister on the bench, like when one of them can't show up, mainly Karen, Fatima's brought into the fold. So from there, we go over to, well, the brunch itself, yeah. So Jordan is making Andy a sex addict, and Karen comes in. So I guess she changed her mind about coming to the brunch. But I guess because she saw Fatima there, she just opted to leave, because I don't think she overheard the conversation. And the thing is, I thought somebody would have seen her, specifically Fatima, because of the way she was sitting. All she had to do was look forward and boom, she would have spotted Karen. So then the conversation switches over to the therapy. And Fatima actually says, like, look, I've gone to therapy, and I got a therapist I can refer you to. She's really open, and I think she'll be someone who can really vibe with you. So thankfully, Danny finally takes the recommendation. Now, Fatima says something interesting. It's like, hey, I've been going to therapy, and well, that it's worked wonders on me. It's helped me, ask questions and shoot second, as opposed to shoot first and ask questions never. But whenever Fatima has a conversation like this where she's talking about, oh, I've changed, or she's able to communicate effectively with women about an issue, but not her man, she's going to get into an argument with Zach soon after. But then, the conversation switches up to the whole thing about Zach Jr. And then Danny doesn't believe that Zach's the father either. And then they talk about the trust. And then Sabrina goes, ooh, trust? And I'm thinking to myself, the way Sabrina said that, I'm like, I hope this isn't the, oh, Sabrina's going to run her mouth thing where she'll go run and tell Karen, hey, I don't think you can, you're eligible for a personal loan, but you know what? I think that you might want to talk to Zach because he's talking about opening a trust for the kids. So maybe you could just vouch for money for your salon instead. Yikes. So from there, we go over to, well, to be blunt, all three of the women, minus Fatima, we're getting to that. All three of the women get home from the brunch. They're all tipsy and they get busy. First, Danny gets home. Tony's watching the game. They go to the bedroom. Then we go over to Sabrina and Rich. And Sabrina's just way too tipsy. And she wants to have sex and have kids. And yeah, she even was the buzzkill during the middle of the brunch saying, have you guys thought about marriage and having kids? Like, oh, here you go. So basically, you have Rich who makes it clear, oh yeah, I don't want to get married and I don't want to have kids. And I'm thinking, it's been 3 months, Sabrina, you would think you would know this. And during the first time you met, Tony and Rich told the girls, like, oh yeah, we've all been married but divorced, so we don't believe in marriage anymore. But the whole kids thing is like, it's been 3 months. You would think she would have known this by now. And despite him saying, no, I don't want to, give you, well, she's like, I want your sperm. Wait, what? And it's like, she goes to the bedroom and passes out. And then he leaves. Then I believe Andy goes to Jordan's. And when he's excited about how the mayor is endorsing him and, oh yeah, I got a great PR agent. Andy just, sees the sweatpants and, she wants sex. And then that's pretty much what they're going on about. But then Fatima gets home right as Zach is heading to the gym. Hey, can I get a hug, a kiss or something? He goes in for a kiss. What does she do? She tilts that head around and Zach already knows something's going on. And like I said earlier in the video, it just boils down to the fact that Fatima's upset about the Zach Jr. thing, but instead of just clearly communicating that like she did with the women, she just goes in on him being stupid for assuming that Karen's baby is his without any DNA proof, which again is factual, but I don't like how it's coming across because look, you go out with these sisters and all they do is fill your head up with these crazy ideas. Look, you better not be trying to control me. You know, the last man that tried to control me is like, here we go again. Because the first thing she says, Zach, you know I love you. And look, are you about to leave or something? No, I'm not going to leave. I just think you're being irresponsible by not checking the DNA. And I'm just thinking to myself, why has this not been an issue for the past 3 months? Oh yeah, it's the Zach Jr. thing. So then Zach just goes off and he goes to the gym and she calls him stupid. And I'm just like, all these women have hot, steamy scene. Well, not Sabrina, she passed out. But Zach and Fatima have to have this ridiculous drama. I don't know who's written worse, Fatima's regression or Zach just being a moron. And I mean, you can kind of maybe excuse it because he's probably hurting over the Michael thing, just not being able to have his son. And now he's just willing and eager to support another kid, assuming that it's his. So then the final scene of the episode was really well acted. I really like this scene. I think the new writers are doing good with the characters because this is probably my favorite Gary. No, I know he's creepy and stuff like that, but Cheeto, I guess the script is allowing him to have more fun as the character because he's on the phone with an unidentified woman who he's probably banging on the side. And then a guy comes in named Hudson. He's like, yo, we got a problem. And this guy, great actor because he really portrayed someone who is part of like a sleazy corporation. Look, man, let me tell you, shit's hit the fan. Investors are pulling out. They're using words like scam, lawsuit, and the list goes on. I mean, what was it? One of their biggest investors discovered that the $50 million he put into the pot wasn't registered with the FCC. And look, I just cleared out my computer. I wiped it clean. You ought to do the same. Gary's like, look, we're in the negative. Shred everything. And then he gets a phone call from Hayden and he's like, yo, man, why is the FBI at my crib looking for you? And that's the episode. And it's funny because you had Hayden wanting Gary to help out with the FCC to get on Zach. And now look at what's going on. The feds are at his house. Folks, this was a great episode, minus a few things here and there. And next week looks insane as well. So as always, thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.